Cyprus, we don't have problems with people coming from the sea, because they're not coming from the sea anymore. They're coming over the border with the northern Cyprus. We understand, well, there is a return fund, a European return fund, which Europe gives Cyprus, and I believe that there was a 4-year period in which the European Union gave Cyprus something like 31 million euros, it would have been there, to Cyprus for the return fund and for the border controls. And when I tried to find any statistics on where this money went, I found that one of the items which was used, the money was used for, was to charter an aeroplane which took back, it was then 50 or 60 Syrians back to Syria who had to be deported, whose asylum program didn't work and they were rejected and had to be reported, but they were forcibly reported, although they went with their consent finally, and they were put on a plane chartered by the Cyprus government, paid for by the EU, and probably a Frontex operation, I'm not sure. But together with the chartered plane were about 100 police guards who accompanied these people back to their country, so the cost of that was included in it. Now this has been repeated recently. Last December, I think 55 Bangladeshi students mostly were returned to Bangladesh, and again an airplane was chartered with 112 police guards to accompany them back. And the argument of the government was that this is the condition that Frontex says, that every person who's deported must have 2 people guarding him. Now, that's guarding him on the aeroplane. Where's the person going to go on an aeroplane? I'm not sure. Anyway, and the other point, for the earlier sum of money, I found that it was spent on buying 2 helicopters and I think 4 four-wheel drive vehicles, for which they were supposed to check on the borders, which is the one border between Cyprus and 2 Cypruses. Well, it's such a small country, you can't imagine how. I would say it's unnecessary, because I think you can easily see who is coming across a particular area in a particular time. But obviously they needed this equipment for something, and I'd like to see the data on where those helicopters have flown for the period of time that the Cyprus government has had any helicopters. The next lot is the building of the new Menoia, which is a huge reception centre which has been renovated or built recently to hold many, many more detainees. Again, 95% of this was funded from, I think, United Nations or EU. But as I said before, if they'd given us half that money, we could have looked after 10 times as many migrants as have been supposed to be looked after. So I don't know how to, these figures and money that's coming from abroad should be monitored and regulated and compared with what's the alternatives for such action, because I think it's probably totally unnecessary and just gives projects to people who perhaps want to build, or some people who want to provide catering, and so on. Those are the people who benefit. The people who provide the services, the bodyguards who have to, the wardens. And perhaps this should be addressed by Caritas International as one of the aims of seeing how money is spent for the migrants.